that sometimes a person finds himself overcome by the mishigas, by the shigaon, by the craziness of life. And there are certain things ultimately, again, that create that craziness within existence. There are certain, the way he defines that craziness is that a person loses their equilibrium, a person loses their inner clarity. A person is unable to see life for what it is. And of course, when you can no longer see with clarity, that's when a person ends up making all kinds of terrible mistakes. So the Chaber attributed that shigaon to a variety of different things. Sometimes a person has to make sure to have a Rebbe. A person doesn't have a Rebbe. We discussed what a Rebbe is. It doesn't have to be a great Talmud Chacham. A Rebbe is just someone sometimes who's outside of you, with a different kind of clarity, who could offer you good advice. We saw the need ultimately again for Torah. That when a person learns, so Torah is able to go ahead and endow someone also with this inner vision, with this clarity, with this ability to see things for what they are. Now, Kuf Ayin Hey. Idea Hurim Ra'im, the Ripoy Machshavos, Na'asim Mishugar. There's another issue. The issue is that sometimes when a person has here Hurim Ra'im, and we'll discuss what this means, but negative thoughts, or a person becomes too much shakua, too immersed and too embedded in taivas, in different desires. So a person could become meshuga. Now again, I want to be clear. Meshuga in this context doesn't mean crazy, but rather it's better stated as disillusioned or lacking clarity. But what does this mean? Look at the second paragraph, Kofayin Hey. It's quoting from Rabbi Nachman. Ki ikra seichel sheyeh al tikuno. It's important that the seichel, and again, I will say, in Chasidus, so seichel doesn't just, and again, he's quoting from Rabbi Nachman, seichel doesn't just mean intellect. Seichel means higher thinking. Now, again, that's not separate from the neshama, that's a function of the neshama. It's important that the ikra seichel, sheyeh tikuno, ultimately, again, is arranged and is mitukan, is ordered in the right way. Shiyuchal is boning, that a person is able to contemplate things in life for what they really are. Hu ayidei hashmanim shevagum. This is actually very interesting. So he gives an interesting mashal. He says the ability for the seichel to ultimately again be in the right order and have this clarity depends literally. The shmanim in the guf means like the oils in the body. What does that mean? Ki haseichel kimo ner hadolik. He says, if you can imagine for just a moment, the seichel, the neshama, is like a candle that is lit. A candle only remains lit if what? If there's a proper supply of oil. Right? Remember, it requires two things. It requires a supply of oil, and it also requires that it be the right oil. You need the right types of oil in order to kindle the candle. He says, and therefore again, when the body does not convey the right oils, the right shmanim, then again the candle of the neshama, the candle of the seichel, is unable to remain lit b'hisboninus, in a state of contemplation. Umizeh ba'im mishugayim. And as a result, a person can become mishuga, which again in our context means lacks clarity or understanding. When literally again the moisture, in this case he calls the oils of the body, become dried up. The mind ultimately again can be a bit messed up. When ultimately again there's not enough oil, so to speak, to fuel the mind. So what is to fuel the seichel, to fuel the nefesh? So what is ever talking about here? It's actually amazing. What Rabbi Nachman is saying over here is that in order for the neshama to operate at peak performance, there must be this synergistic partnership, this synergistic equilibrium between the guf and the neshama. If the guf is not doing that which is right, if the guf itself is not in a good place, then by definition, the neshama also can't operate at peak capacity. What's the idea? The idea is that the body, the neshama, is like the lit candle. The neshama is like the flame. The body is the oils, or the fuel. If the body's not supplying the fuel, if the body's not in the right state, then the neshama ultimately again cannot remain lit. And I will say, Again, that could be understood on a variety of different levels. On one hand, again, so on an extreme level, when the body no longer operates and the stomach can no longer operate in this world, that we know. Most of it also means other things. When a person is sick, let's say people often think that individuals who are ill find God and find spirituality. Sometimes it's true. More often than not, people who are ill are spending all of their energy just to keep their head above water. That often they are not able to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We'll see what we're going to see. I'm going to hear a lot of people. What we're going to see is also what this means is on a ruchni level. If the body is not in the right state of holiness, that impacts the neshama. Look what he writes. Yodua she'ikar mashem es yapshin osal nechos haguf hu ayitei pegam habris. The Bible says there is no thing that dries up the oils of the body, so to speak, that prevents the body from feeling the neshama more than pegam habris. Also, Rabbi Nachman speaks extensively about pegam. Pegam habris literally means, pegam means to damage, or to blunt, right? Like when you drink from a cup, it becomes pagum. You can't use it for a bracha anymore. Pegam habris also means immorality. Immorality. When a person engages in immoral things, a person engages in inappropriate things, the Rebbe calls that pegam habris. He calls it, again, a blunting, or to a certain degree, like a ruining of the bris. So I'll say the bris milah represents a connection between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What it ultimately means is we have natural desires for things. So, but yet what we pledge to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to try to embed that desire in a framework of Kedusha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't ask us to ignore our desires, our carnal desires, our physical desires. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't ask us to simply pretend like they don't exist. He doesn't tell us to somehow go ahead and eradicate them. He tells us to sublimate them, to somehow use those desires in a framework of Kedusha and Tara. When a person doesn't use that desire, it's talking about the desire for sexuality, the desire for sexuality. When a person doesn't use that in a kaddishtik way, that's called pegam habris, says the Rebbe. See, he says nothing takes away what he calls the shmanim. Nothing takes away, so to speak, the oils of the body more than when a person engages in immorality. See, speaking over here in a very specific way, that when a person goes ahead and wastes his zera, and also even more than that, he says, is when a person has impure thoughts and ultimately, again, desires for inappropriate things. It destroys the mind. It destroys the mind. Look, but here's what I'll say. Here's like the crazy part. Sometimes than the act of immorality itself. Even worse than the act of immorality itself. As Chazal said, that sometimes the thoughts or the desires for Aveira are even worse than an action, which I will say, unfortunately, many of us could relate to this. This idea of being a person does a Maisa Aveira. So what's the idea with the Maisa? Well, so by the way, everybody has one chair move per shear. That's the new rule, by the way. So choose it wisely, however you're going to do it. If it's going to up, down, get your coffee beforehand, one chair move. Two, you could buy an extra one if you want. You can talk to Ari, Amir Hashem, but that's the new rule. So the idea over here says the Gemara is something that the Mechaber is saying is something dramatically amazing, which is also a person commits a Maisa Aveira. So I'll say the thing with a Maisa Aveira, I engage in a negative act. The act has a beginning, it has an end. Okay, again, we're not condoning it. It's not good. We try to not engage in Averos, but at the end of the day, the act has a beginning and an end. When Chazal say, because it was always bothered me, this idea, Kashim Hirhure Avira Yosim Mikuf HaMaisa, that thoughts of an Avera sometimes are even worse than the commission of an act of Avera. Why? Because at the end of the day, a Maisa has a beginning and an end. Hirhure Avera ultimately could go on and on and on and on. The act could last for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, a day, whatever it is, but Lamaisa Hirhure could follow me for an entire lifetime. That's what Chazal mean when they say, because it always bothered me. How can you say that a thought of an Avera is worse than the action of Avera? So we'll say that's because, unfortunately, sometimes when we see statements like this, how do we look at it? We look at it in the framework of a punishment. We think Chazal talking about punishment, that the punishment for thoughts of an Avera are even worse than the commission of the act itself. Chazal aren't talking about punishments here. We'll say we're above that. Looking at our Yiddishkeit through the prism of schar va'onesh is something that hopefully we outgrow by the time we're 9, 10, 11 years old, to graduate to a higher order of thinking about our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not about the schar va'onesh. Schar va'onesh, word of punishment, of course, is a fundamental, foundational pillar of our belief. But it can't be what solidifies and what concretizes and what frames our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What the Mechaber is describing over here, Abba, is this idea of Kashim here, Hure Aver Yosem and Gofmaisa. It's not about schar va'onesh. It's talking about being successful in life. I want to be successful in life. I want to forge a beautiful religious identity. I want to be a ruchni being. I want a dynamic relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. From that perspective, sometimes thoughts of Averos are even worse than the commission of the act itself. The act has a beginning and an end. The Hirhurim, unfortunately, could just simply go on and on and on. So let's say, he says, Utchilas hashigaon ayidei shnei sursuri avera she'ima einayim. So let's say, we'll read this statement today, then we're going to stop. He says, and how does it all start? We'll say, by the way, you're going to see, like, this is one of the greatest nisyonos we face today. It's one of the greatest nisyonos we face today about Hirhure Avera, about, again, impure thoughts. And he says over here, where does it all start? It all starts ayidei shnei sursuri avera. Unfortunately, each of us have two like reconnaissance scouts for inappropriate thoughts. And what are the two reconnaissance scouts for inappropriate thoughts? Our inayim, our eyes. And I want to say, sometimes we know the most difficult thing about the eyes is that once you see something, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. And forever, that becomes part of my thoughts. That become, I don't know, maybe there is a mechanism to unsee it, but it becomes part of who and what we are, unfortunately. So sometimes that's for good, that's the tov. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's the ra. So we'll stop over here for today, but understand now we're beginning a section that's going to be of incredible importance, which is now I understand that in order to have a successful neshama, there has to be this synergistic partnership between body and soul. Rabbi Nachman's mashal, if the soul is the candle, the body is the shmanim. If the body is not in a state of tara, if the body is not in a state of holiness, then the soul can't operate at complete capacity. Therefore, and why doesn't the body operate at complete capacity? Because at the end of the day, sometimes the body has hirurim. The body has negative thoughts, and it's those negative thoughts, Ramosai, that sometimes can impact us even worse than the commission of an Avera. Not from a schar va'onesh perspective, but just from a life perspective. And sometimes it all starts in such a seemingly innocent way, by seeing something that I shouldn't see, triggers a process ultimately that results in hirurim, that creates a disconnect sometimes between the body and the soul. We'll study more about this and hopefully understand how to remedy it. Emir Hashem, we'll look at that more tomorrow. All right, Jabosai, good morning. Good morning. Let's begin. Today's daf needs no introduction. Today's daf is Kuf Yud Gimel 113 in Maseches Sanhedrin. In Maseches Sanhedrin, our shir this morning and this month is dedicated to Yonah and Shishi Ehrenfeld in memory of Yonah's grandfather, Reb Gedalia ben Yaakov HaKohen. We hope that on the merit of our Talmud Torah, his neshama will have an aliyah and the family in Nechama. So I'll say, let's begin. An exciting, riveting, transformative, overwhelmingly beautiful daf this morning. So we'll say Kuf Yud Gimel 113. We are picking up Kuf Yud Beis and with Beis 112b, which have a lot to do today. We're picking up from Tanan Hassam. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 lines up from the bottom. Tanan Hassam. Isa Shalmai Shalosei. So again, remember, we're still in the midst of Irani Dachos, and Irani Dachos is going to be the way we're going to close out this Masechta Mir Hashem. Tanan Hassam. So we learned there. Isa Shal Meiser Sheni P'tura Min Achal de Rabbi Meir. So we'll say interesting discussion. Meiser Sheni. What's Meiser Sheni? Meiser Sheni is a tithe that I have to separate, but L'Maisa, again, that tithe is mine. It belongs to me. I have the right to eat it, with one caveat, which is I have to eat it in Yerushalayim. So it's an interesting discussion. Do you have to separate out challah from Meiser Sheni or not? Rabbi Meir says, Isa Shal Meiser Sheni P'tura Min Achal. No, you don't have to separate out challah from Meiser Sheni. On the other hand, Chachamim say you can. Say you must. So I'll say b'pashtos, what this machlokas seems to be about is how you look at Meiser Sheni. Is Meiser Sheni what we'll call mamon prati? Does it belong to the individual, or is it mamon elyon, or does it belong to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? If it's mine, then it's chayv and chala. If it belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then it's not chayv and chala. Says the Gemara, Amar Avchis, the machlokas by Meiser Sheni Yerushalayim. The machlokas between Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim is only with Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim itself. Why? Rabbi Meir's savar, Meiser Sheni Mamon Gavohu, because we'll say even in Yerushalayim, Rabbi Meir holds that Meiser Sheni is considered to be Mamon Gavoh, is considered to be the property of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, again, it's not chayiv in Meiser. It's not chayiv in Chal, excuse me. For Rabbanan Savri Mamon Hedjotu, and the Rabbanan hold no. Once he gets to Yerushalayim, then what Rabbi was saying, then it's considered to be individual property. Once it's considered to be personal property, then by definition, it is going to be chayiv in Chala. However, again, Aval Big Vulin, I both say first wide line, Kufi Beis and Beis. But however, Big Vulin outside of Yerushalayim, Divrei HaKol Potter. Everyone will agree that's what? Everyone will agree that it's Potter. I both say, why does everybody agree that it's Potter outside of Yerushalayim? Because it's considered to be Mamon Gavoa. It's considered to be ultimately, again, the Mamon, the property of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We look at Rashi for just a moment. Rashi Aval Big Vulin, She'ein Laheter Achila El B'Piyah. Since outside of Yerushalayim, everyone agrees you can't eat it unless you redeem it. Divrei HaKol P'tura Min Achala. The Mamon Gavoah. So also you see from here that what? That Meiser Sheni is considered to be the property of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, now why is this important for us? Massive, Rav Yosef raises a kasha. Meiser Sheni v'kisei kodesh ignozu. So we'll say this. Remember again, we learned in the Mishnah that when it comes to Irani Dachas, if there's Meiser Sheni or there is Kisvei Kodesh, holy writings, you put them in Genizah. So we'll say, what's the case? Now we'll say, B'mai Askinon, if we're talking about Irani Dachos, if we're talking about Yerushalayim becoming an Irani Dachos, Mihad Irani Dachos, so also Yerushalayim can become an Irani Dachos. But Tanya started Dvarim there, Yerushalayim is Achas Man, Inonas Irani Dachos. So we learned this Gemara. There are 10 things, 10 unique qualities associated with Yerushalayim, and one of those qualities is that Yerushalayim cannot become an Irani Dachos. Ve'elabi Iracheres. So what's the case? The case of Osei must be that this is Meiser Sheni, or this is an Irani Dachos that is occurring in another city. In other words, not Yerushalayim. Vaskua. So, but what about the Meiser Sheni? So they took the Meiser Sheni. Of course, they were called City A. They took the Meiser Sheni out of City A. Vaskua legava. And what happens? They take it to Yerushalayim, and then I will say after they brought that Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim, then what? Then the City A was declared an Irani Dachos. So if that's the case, Hakal Tuam Mechitzos. But at that point in time, the walls of Yerushalayim have already absorbed the Meiser Sheni, and therefore, again, by definition, it should really be separate and distinct from whatever would happen in the Irani Dachos. Elavat Big Vulin. Rather, no, we have to say that we're talking about over here Meiser Sheni in outlying cities. Yet, Vikatani Yignozu. Yet, I will say, what do you see? You see that ultimately, again, the halacha is you have to put it away. Now, I will say the fact that you have to put Meiser Sheni in Geniza tells you that what Rabbi say, that the Meiser Sheni is the property of the individual. Because if it was indeed Mamon Gavoa, then what? Then it should remain totally unaffected. The fact that you have to take Meiser Sheni of an Irani Dachos in a city outside Yerushalayim, and you have to put it in Geniza, tells me that Lemaisa, again, it's Mamon Yochid. It belongs to the individual. To which Gemara says, lo. Yolam di Iracheres. You know what's the case? The case of also is it's Meiser Sheni, you're right, in a city outside Yerushalayim. Vaskol Gavoa. And indeed, they brought it to Yerushalayim. What's the case? Shenitma. So the case of Yerabos says where the Meiser Sheni became Tameh. One second, but if it became Tameh the Vilafarke, why not go ahead and Vilafarke? Why not just go ahead and redeem it? Remember, Lazar, Minay the Meiser Sheni Shenitma Shepodin Safi Yerushalayim. How do we know that even if Meiser Sheni became Tameh, even in Yerushalayim you could redeem it? Tamulomar lo Suchal Seiso. Vein Seis Ela Achiva Shneemar Vayisa Masas Meis Panav. I'm asking, I will say, what's the case? The case over here is bilakuach. The case over here is ultimately, again, where the Meiser Sheni was already redeemed. Money was used to purchase new food, and then that new food became tamei. So I don't understand. We'll say top of Kuf Yud Gimel. Well, so you know it's something special, by the way, when you just see the shape. It's Surah Sadaf here, which is quite beautiful. The Lifrike, and we'll say go ahead and redeem it. I don't understand. Even if, so we'll say the Gemara saying over here, this specific case of Meiser Sheni is a situation where I redeemed the Meiser Sheni already, took the money, because remember, we'll say the halacha is, if you have a lot of Meiser Sheni and you don't want to carry it all to Yerushalayim, so there's a simple remedy. What's the simple remedy? Redeem it for money, bring the money to Yerushalayim, and you use the money Yerushalayim to purchase food. Okay, now we're saying that food that you purchased became tamei. Someone says, so who cares? Meaning, why isn't the same mechanism of redemption available to me? To which the Gemara says, Disnan, halokiach bekesef Meiser Shenitma yifta. Ultimately, again, because we learned in the Mishnah that if one goes ahead and redeems Meiser Sheni and then uses that money to go ahead and purchase food in Yerushalayim and it becomes tamei yifta, you can go ahead and redeem it. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda da Amar Yikbar, because our Mishnah reflects the view of Rabbi Yehuda who says no, that you have to bury it. If that's the case, my area irane dachos. But if that's the case, then these halachos of Meiser Sheni are not unique to an irane dachos. Is the Mishnah coming to teach me stam halachos of Meiser Sheni that apply everywhere? I feel the almunami. I will say the halacha would be the same by other places as well. Elavi ola matar. Rather, we'll say again. Just so we keep clear on what we're trying to do over here. The Mishnah went through everything you have to do with the property of the irani dachos. So on a simple level, what do you have to do with the property of the irani dachos? What do you do with it? You destroy it. Then the Mishnah tells you there are certain exceptions to that rule. Among those exceptions, kisvei hakodesh, sifrei Torah, tefillin, different things like that. What do? Yignozu. In that same category, Meiser Sheni. Person has Meiser Sheni. So Meiser Sheni, we'll say, so you put in Geniza. So we're just trying to figure out what that means. Why is it that I am putting the Meiser Sheni in Geniza? Where is that Meiser Sheni now? Is that Meiser Sheni in the Yerni Dachas? Is it somewhere else? We're just trying to figure out the scope and the parameters of this ruling. So therefore, the Gemara says, we'll say, Kuf Yud Gimel. 113, 3 lines down. The olam bitar. Rather, I will say, what's the case? The case over here is, you're right. We're dealing with regular Meiser Sheni. Meiser Sheni, which is tar. Ukigon de nafal mechitzos. And I will say, what's the case? Listen to this. The case is where the Meiser Sheni was brought into Yerushalayim, but the walls of Yerushalayim fell down. The walls fell down. Uchidirava. We'll say, what does this mean? Uchidirava. Da amar Rava. Mechitza le'achal da'oraisa. I will say, the idea, if you look at Rashi, we'll say it's almost right across in Rashi. Mechitzos le'achol. Rashi says, Minatorah mitzvah le'achol ifnim minachoma. So we'll say, Mid'oraisa, Meiser Sheni has to be eaten in the walls of Yerushalayim. Has to be eaten in the walls of Yerushalayim. Mechitzos le'achol d'oraisa. Liklot d'rabanan. However, again, we'll say, what does that mean? Look at Rashi. Aval mechitzos liklot, sheyiyu mechitzos koltos, beim inyan pedia, beim lechol inyan midrabananu. Because the Rabbanan that they honey klitas mechitzos lamaiser the shuv in yochal livdoso or the inyan irani dachas nami shloye bisreifa hecha disnu b'mechitzos. So both say, listen to this. Furthermore, Chazal instituted and they said the following: once mid'araisa, you have to eat your Meiser Sheni within the walls of Yerushalayim. The Rabbanan came along and said, once you bring your Meiser Sheni into the walls, you can no longer redeem your Meiser Sheni. You can no longer redeem it. I will say, furthermore, Chazal also said that if Meiser Sheni that originated from an irani dachos is in the walls of Yerushalayim, it remains untouched. It does not get burned with the rest of the property from irani dachos. Because remember what we learned yesterday? The property of the residents of the irani dachos that's destroyed is not just their property in the city. What else does it apply to? Any nearby property as well. So I will say the idea. So midrabanan. When the walls, once that Meiser Sheni comes into the walls of Yerushalayim, two things happen. Number one, you can't redeem it. Number two, it effectively becomes disassociated from its place of origin, from the irani dachos. However, says the Gemara, when did Chazal say that the walls, that once it's in the walls, you can't redeem it, and once it's in the walls, it becomes disassociated from its point of origin? That's ki isnu l'mechitza. The Bible says that's when the walls are standing. Ki lesnu l'mechitza lo. I will say when the walls of Yerushalayim are no longer standing, then this halacha no longer applies. Which means what I will say. Now we begin to understand our Mishnah. What's the case of the Mishnah? The case of the Mishnah is somebody from the Ir Nidachas brought his Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim. Then what happens? After he brings it to Yerushalayim, so the city is declared in Ir Nidachas. Let's say the Ir Nidachas is in close proximity to Yerushalayim. So now the Shaila is, what do we do with his Meiser Sheni? Do we burn his Meiser Sheni? Do we destroy his Meiser Sheni or not? Or do we have to do something with his Meiser Sheni? So we'll say, so again, if the walls are standing, then what's the halacha? If the walls are standing, no. If the walls are standing, we don't touch his Meiser Sheni, because when the walls are standing, then again, midrabanan, the Meiser Sheni is disassociated from his point of origin. The case of the Mishnah Rabosai is where he brought the Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim, and unfortunately, the walls of Yerushalayim are not standing. Well, in that case, Rabosai, then what? Then the Meiser Sheni is connected to its point of origin, but out of deference to the fact that it's already in Yerushalayim, we're not going to bring it back to the Ir Nidachas to burn it. So instead, what do? We put it in Geniza. We put it in Shemus, right? We bury it. We treat it with kavod, but ultimately, again, it is treated to a certain degree like property of Ir Nidachas. Incredible. So says the Gemara, Kisvei HaKol B'Shignozer. We'll say next, right? If there are scrolls, holy writings in the Ir Nidachas are also hidden away. Maslisim to look Rabbi Lazar. So we'll say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Lazar. Why? It's not Rabbi Lazar. So we'll say, so remember again, listen to this. It's not Rabbi Lazar. Kol ir sheyishpa afilu mezuzah achos eina naasis ir hanidachos. So we'll say, remember again, we learned that any city that has even one mezuzah cannot be made into an ir hanidachos. We'll say incredible. If the city has even one mezuzah, can't become ir hanidachos. Shenemar v'sarafta ba'ish es ha'ir v'es kol shlala kalil. Because also that's not Ir Nidachos. Ir Nidachos, you have to destroy everything. The heicha diika mezuzah lo efshar. Then I will say, where there is a mezuzah in the city, you can't destroy everything. Why? Because you can't destroy a mezuzah. Why can't you destroy a mezuzah? Dechsev lo sa'as sukein la Hashem Elokeichem. Because I will say, the pasuk says, you shall not do this to Hashem your God. Now I will say, so the Rush and the Maharsha point out that this Gemara seems to back up the assertion. If you remember, again, we learned a while ago that we'll say, in all of those sugis, remember when we were learning about Ben Sora Umora, so we'll say, says Machlokes, whether or not Ben Sora Umora ever happened. So there's an opinion that says Ben Sora Umora lo haya v'lo yiyah never happened. So we'll say, remember again, we learned that Gemara, there was the same opinion about Ir Nidachos. There was an opinion that said Ir Nidachos never happened and never will happen. We'll say that seems to be supported by Rabbi Lazar. Because could there ever be such a situation of a Jewish city where there's not even one mezuzah? I mean, it's an impossibility. It's absolute impossibility. Therefore, again, I will say, so that the Rishonim point out that this Gemara would seem to be a raya to that opinion that Ir Nidachos never happened and never will happen. But in any event, the Gemara is teaching us an important yesod, which is what we'll say, just so you understand the nature of this Gemara. One mezuzah could save a city. One mezuzah could save a city. It's the power of even one ma'aseh tov, the power of one act. You know, we'll say sometimes we think that our actions are inconsequential. We think that our actions don't mean anything. We think, what's the power of one mitzvah? We say, I have no idea what the power of one mitzvah is. But I can tell you one thing. One mezuzah could save an entire city. And a mezuzah is not even a kumaseh, right? What is a mezuzah? You put it on your doorpost and then you go about your life. One time, it's one action. But yet that one mezuzah could save a city. If one mezuzah could save a city, we'll say one act of chesed, one tzedakah, one line of gemara, who knows the power of our actions? Incredible. Rabbi Shmuel Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So says the Gemara, we'll say, it's actually, the Gemara over here is talking about the machlokes, about what you could do with the Ir Nidachos. Can you rebuild an Ir Hanidachos or not? So says the Gemara, Lema b'Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Loikam Miflagi. Let's say that Rabbi Akiva, and who was it? It was Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yossi Aglili, right? So Rabbi Yossi Aglili says that you have to destroy the Ir Nidachos and you cannot rebuild it at all, meaning you can't even make it into ganos upardesim. You can't even make it into gardens or orchards. Rabbi Akiva says you can't rebuild the city, but you can make it into gardens or orchards. So the Gemara is suggesting what's at the root of their machlokes. Lema b'Rabbi Avin Rabbi Loikam Miflagi. Say that they're arguing about the statement Rabbi Avin and Rabbi Eloi. Rabbi Avin and Rabbi Eloi. Kol makom sha'atamotze klal ba'aseh uprat below saseh ain danin also b'klal uprat. So we'll say. So Rabbi Avin and Rabbi Eloi says the following. So we know that one of the exegetical principles that we have is klal uprat. Klal uprat. So we'll say a general statement and a specific statement. Rabbi Eloi says over here, any time where the klal is mentioned in the context, ultimately again of an aseh, a positive commandment, and the prat, the specificity or the exclusion is written, well, really the specific item is written in the context of the prohibition. That's how Irani Dachas is phrased. So we don't judge this then as a regular case of Klal Uprat. So the Gemara says, Dimar Isleid Rabbi Avin, Umar Lesleid Rabbi Avin. So maybe this is what Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yossi Aglili are arguing about. To which the Gemara says, we're not going to get too into because the Gemara just dismisses it. No. Everybody agrees with that principle. So what is the machlokes here? Mar Savar, both say, here's the Shaila. The Shaila is the pasuk says, after you destroy the Irani Dachas, the pasuk reads, V'haisad tel olam, it will be a mound. It will be a mound forever. Lo sibana ot. Lo sibana ot. You cannot rebuild it anymore. I will say the machlokes between Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi is how you interpret that one word, ot. Mar Savar, ot, legamrei mashma. So one opinion says od means in totality. That's what Yosef Lili, right? Od, you can't build anything. You can't put anything there. We'll say the idea is it remains a tail. What's a tail? A mound. In other words, you leave it destroyed, you leave debris, you leave everything there. You can't put anything there. Umar Savar od l'kimashaisa. What's the other opinion? Rabbi Akiva holds that od means what? Od means you can't go ahead and restore it to what it once was. But lamaisa again. But lamaisa, you do have the right to go and make it into ganos upardesim. So I will say, amazingly enough, the Rambam actually passing is like Rabbi Akiva, that the halacha is you cannot rebuild an ir miklat, you cannot rebuild an ir nidachos, but you can go ahead and essentially transform it into parkland. You want to make it into ganos upardesim, you want to make it into orchards, vineyards, you can do whatever you want. You just can't rebuild it into a city. Says the Gemara. How you buy on a solution? Listen to this. Let's say in the Irani Dachos there were uprooted trees. In other words, let's say there were felled trees, right? There were trees that were already detached from the ground. So asurin, ultimately again, so those trees are set aside for non-use. You cannot go ahead and use them. However, mechubarin, if at the end of the day they are still attached to the ground, mechubar mutar. We'll say if they're attached to the ground, then ultimately again one is permitted to use it. Now we'll say take a look at Rashi for just a moment. It's not exactly across. It's like halfway down the column. Mechubar mutarin. So we'll say why is it that attached to trees will be permitted ultimately again for use? Rashi says the tikbots the sarafta amra rachmana. Because also remember again the pasuk says that when talking about the property of the Irani Dachos, tikbots v'sarafta, you shall gather the property and you shall go ahead and burn it. So the Gemara says, Misha ina mechusar ela kivitza ustreifa. Both say the only property that has to be destroyed in the Irani Dachos is the property that is only lacking gathering and burning. Yatzazeh shemechusar talisha ukavitza ustreifa comes to exclude the trees, which if you want to destroy them, need what Rabbi say? Felling, cutting down, and then gathering and burning. Both say this goes back to our shekel discussion from yesterday. So therefore, again, attached trees are not destroyed. Detached trees are destroyed. So the Gemara says, Shalir acheres, however, if there are trees from another city, then bein telushin, bein mechubar and aser. Whether the trees are detached or whether the trees are attached, ultimately, again, it will be aser. Ma'ir acheres. So we'll say, what does that mean? Trees from another city. We'll say, listen to this. Amrav chiste Yericho. It means actually not trees of another city, which are brought into the Irani Dachos, but rather it's referring to trees of a different city. Which different city are we referring to? We'll say referring to the city of Yericho, Dichsid. Because we'll say the pasuk by Yericho says the following. Pasuk says, "V'haisaw ha'ir chayrim la'Hashem." Pasuk says that ultimately the city will be a chayrim. We'll say chayrim means it will be destroyed in a state of destruction for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah, you just want to remember, Yericho is the first city that is conquered upon Yoshua's entry with the people into Eretz Yisrael, and therefore, by definition, the pasuk says part of the idea is to be an eternal sign for the conquest of the city is the city was to remain in a state of destruction, and therefore, again, the pasuk says, "Vayishba Yoshua ba'isa gilibor." Yoshua swears, he makes an oath at that time, saying, "Arur ha'ish lifnei Hashem asher yakum ubana es ha'ir hazos es Yericho." So Yoshua will say, hands down a shvuah. What's the shvuah? What's the oath? Cursed is the person who will go before Hashem, who will rebuild this city. With the death of his firstborn will he lay the foundation stone, and with his youngest child he will go ahead and put up its doors. As Rabbi said, if anybody tries to go ahead and rebuild Yericho, they will pay for it dearly. With the beginning of the construction process, they will pay with the life of their oldest child, and with the end of the construction process, they will go ahead and pay with the life of their youngest child. So therefore, what the Gemara is suggesting over here is that when the Gemara says, however, the trees of another city, whether they are attached or detached, are usher, ultimately, again, that refers to Yericho. So Tanya, lo Yericho shem, so now the Gemara goes again, now that we've mentioned Yericho, the Gemara is going to speak a little bit about Yericho. Lo Yericho Hashem iracheres, velo iracheres Hashem Yericho. Both say, you can't rebuild Yericho. Now, you can't rebuild Yericho even if you call it by a different name. So, Lo Yericho Hashem Yiracheres. You can't rebuild Yericho even if you're going to call it a different name. V'lo Yiracheres Hashem Yericho. Nor can you build another city and name it Yericho. So the Gemara says, Lo Yericho Hashem Yiracheres. V'lo Yiracheres Hashem Yericho Tichsev. So, let's listen to this. The Gemara over here quotes the episode from the Nevi'im, from Malachim Aleph, where there was a man who tried to rebuild Yericho. So the pasuk says, "Bana Chiel beis ha'ili es Yericho." So we'll say a man by the name of Chiel. Chiel decided to rebuild Yericho, and Nebuch, what happened? Ba'aviram bechoro yasda. So again, we literally, with the death of Aviram, his oldest son, did he lay the foundation? Ubeseguf tziro hitziv delasel. And with the death of his youngest son, Skuf, did he go ahead and set up the doors? So the idea over here is that when Chiel tries to go ahead and rebuild Yericho, he pays again for laying the foundation with the death of his oldest son, and with the death of his youngest son, he sets up the doors. Tanya. So the Gemara talks a little bit about this. I said, Tanya, ba'aviram bechoro rasha lo hayala lilmod. So also listen to this. So the Brisa says the following. When Chiel started this process, so when his oldest son Aviram died, maybe Chiel didn't understand his lesson with the death of his firstborn son. Maybe when he started this process, he wasn't fully aware and fully cognizant of what he was doing wrong. However, by the time he got to the doors and he lost ultimately his youngest son Skuf, he should have understood that what he was doing was in fact dramatically wrong. So the Gemara says, one second, Aviram Skuf, my of it. So what's interesting enough, the way the Gemara is understanding the pasuk over here is that the pasuk's calling Aviram and Skuf Rishon. But what did Aviram and Skuf do? Meaning, why Chiel's a Rasha, because Chiel's he's rebuilding Yericho, which is Asur. But what did his kids do wrong? To which the Gemara says, Hachikam, this is what it means to say. Hachikam, Ba'aviram Bechoro, Hayala Lilmod La'osa Rasha. It will say, with the death of his oldest son Aviram, Chiel, the Rasha, should have understood this lesson. Chiel, the pasuk is not calling the kids the Rasha. The pasuk is calling the father, Chiel, the Rasha. Excuse me. Hayala Lilmod La'osa Rasha B'skuf Tziro. We'll say, if we already know that Aviram is the Bechor, don't they know that Skuf is his youngest child? Why does it have to say Matam Lomar Suguf Tziro? Melamed Shahaya Mekaber Vaholech Ma'aviram at Skuf. Well, this is actually a very dramatic Gemara. It teaches me, Abosai, that when Chiel began the process of rebuilding Yericho, he lost his oldest son Aviram at the beginning of the construction process, and his children kept dying out over the course of rebuilding Yericho. Until finally, when he completed the project, he put up the doors with the death of his youngest son, Skuf. But you will say, but if you think about it, it's such a dramatic idea. You think to yourself, Chiel, what are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing? But I will say, you see at the end of the day that sometimes people become so vested in their decisions. People become so vested in their way of life. And I will say, lest you think, Chiel, so crazy. I'll say people do this all the time. When we see that the things that we've decided are wrong, they're not the right thing. It's not right for me. It's not right for my mishpacha. It's not right for my life. It's not right for lifestyle change. But I have a lifestyle decision. But I embed myself in a certain lifestyle. I embed myself in a certain mahalik in life. And even when I realize that it's really not right, it's really not the way I should be going, it's very difficult to pull yourself back. I have so much invested in this way of life. I have so much invested in this decision that it's hard for me to do a 180 on it. So this is a dramatic example of it, I will say. This is a self-destructive example about it, but unfortunately, that we sometimes do things like chiyal as well. So we'll say the Gemara tells an amazing story. Achov shoshvine hava. Achov, I will say, was the friend of chiyal. Achov, remember again, Achov was an incredible Rasha. Achav was Melech Yisrael. He was the king over Malchus Yisrael, and he was a friend of Chiyal. So what happens? So Chiyal is sitting Shiva now for his children, child children. So what happens? So what happens? You just can't even imagine this scene. Eliyahu Hanavi and Achav come to be Menachem Oval to Chiyal. I will say, you have to understand something. This is pretty wild. First of all, we could imagine them walking in the door together, right? Remember again, Achav has effectively institutionalized Avodah Zarah throughout entire Malchus Yisrael. Achav is doing really, really, really bad stuff. The only person who maybe trumps Achav is his wife, Izebel. He and Eliyahu don't exactly enjoy the warmest of relationships, to put it mildly. And again, they're both coming in to be Menachem Aval Techiel, who lost his kids. And why did he lose his kids? Because he violated the Shvuah of Yoshua and he rebuilt Yericho. Okay, so watch this. Yosef V'Kamer. So listen to this. So they're sitting and they're talking, and Achav begins to say the following. Achav is trying to help Chiyal understand why all of these negative things occurred. V'Kamer Dilma Kimelet Yoshua Hachi Lot. So Achav says, Chiyal, I've been thinking about you, and I've been thinking the following. Maybe the reason you lost your kids was because, which I will say, by the way, you also see just an incredibly, almost like brutish-like insensitivity. Maybe the reason you lost your kids was because when Yoshua cursed anyone who rebuilds Yericho, maybe what he meant was the following: Lo Yericho al Shem Yiracheres. You can't rebuild the city of Yericho with another name. Lo Yiracheres al Shem Yericho, and you can't rebuild another city somewhere else and call it Yericho. Amar le Eliyahu. Eliyahu says, yeah, correct. Chiyal, the reason you lost your kids is because you decided to rebuild the city of Yericho on the spot and call it Yericho. That's why in other words, Achav, spot on, absolutely correct. Then Achav says, listen to this. So listen to the chutzpah. After Eliyahu Hanavi says the Navi Hashem says yes, Achav says, no, it can't really be true. I'll tell you why. Amarle, Hashta, Love Tasa de Moshe Lokama. Can't be. Because the curses of Moshe Rabbeinu don't come true. What are the curses of Moshe Rabbeinu? I will say, because the pasuk says, if you worship Avodah Zarah, but so you're saying every single day that if we go ahead and we abandon the way of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we abandon the way of God, then what? The Ribono Shel Olam will get angry at us, and ultimately again the Atzaras HaShamayim will withhold the rain. So if we worship idolatry, God withholds the rain. Achav says, you see, the Torah is not true. The curses of Moshe are not true. Why? Vahu Gabra, he also says, referring to himself, this man, Achav says, look at me. I'll call tell him. I have put Avodah Zarah in every single mound throughout Malchus Yisrael. And the truth is, the only reason I haven't gotten to worship all of them is because Mitra, the Mazel Maskile. The only reason I haven't worshipped every single Avodah Zarah that I placed on every single mountain is because the rainfall has been so heavy that it has made all of the roads muddy. So I'll say, hear this chutzpah. So Achav's coming along and saying, it can't be that it's the curse of Yoshua that caused you to lose your children, because the curses of Moshe Rabbeinu don't even come true. Like Moshe Rabbeinu says, whoever worships Avodah Zarah, God's going to withhold the rain. Not true. I worship Avodah Zarah like a beast. And you know what? At the end of the day, I can't even get everywhere because of the ridiculous rainfall. So it's Pashat not true. Right? So ultimately, again, if the curses of Moshe Rabbeinu don't come true, the curses of Yoshua do come true. So you have to understand, Eliyahu Hanavi's strong point was not his people skills. Well, so just to say, Eliyahu Hanavi was Isha MS. People who are people of truth, true people of MS, have difficulty in this world. And they have difficulty in this world because, again, the world is filled with sheker. The world is filled with sheker. The world is filled with falsehood. The world is filled with disingenuous people. It's hard to find honesty. It's hard to find integrity. Eliyahu Hanavi has difficulty. He has difficulty in this world. So Eliyahu Hanavi spends also a lot of time in solitude. So Eliyahu Hanavi can't take this. He can't take this. He can't take the blasphemy. He can't take the chutzpah. So miyad v'yomer Eliyahu atishbi mitoshvi agilad chai Hashem Elokei Yisrael yet hal umatar. Eliyahu says, enough, enough. I hereby swear that from this point forward there will be no rain. Right? I'm making sure there will be no rain. Boy rachamei, he davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Eliyahu Hanavi doesn't have power to control the rain. For one simple reason, which is, as we're going to see in just a moment, the key of rain is one of the three keys that rests in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what does he do? Boy rachamim, he davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'havu le'aklida demitra v'kam v'asal. Rishon gives him the key of rain. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him the key of rain, and Eliyahu Hanavi takes the key of rain and he leaves. From this point forward, there's a massive drought, I will say. So again, the Gemara understands that the drought is attributed to that fateful Shiva visit between Eliyahu Hanavi and Achav when you're visiting Chiel. Vayhi dvar Hashem elav le'mor lech mizeh upanisa lecha kidma v'nestarta b'nachal Kris. So we'll say at this point in time there's massive drought. Obviously, one can imagine now that there's massive drought. Eliyahu Hanavi is not too high on Achav's favorites list, so Eliyahu Hanavi has to go into hiding. Where does he go into hiding? He goes and he hides in a place by Nachal Kris. That was the name of the place. How is he sustained? The ravens would bring him meat and bread every single morning. Where did they bring him meat and bread? From the Heicha. Let's listen to this. We'll say they would bring him meat and bread from Achav's kitchen. Right? The incredible irony, right? Achav, who's mobilizing his forces to try to track down Eliyahu Hanavi and kill him, is mamish sustaining Eliyahu Hanavi and other Nevi'im each and every day. I will say, just we're not going to get into it now. There happens to be an interesting discussion, a kashrus discussion, just about eating the meat of Achav. We'll save it for a different time. We'll talk about the Siyam in Eretz Hashem. So the Gemara says the following: So we'll say now at this point in time, the drought becomes critical. The riverbed dries up. There is no rain in the land. So we'll say here's the problem. Eliyahu Hanavi seems to be unmoved by the suffering. What do I mean unmoved by suffering? Eliyahu Hanavi feels, Kal Yisrael can undo this. If you want to undo it, do tshuva. But why should I yield 1 second before you do tshuva? And I was say, you could fix this. It's not beyond your control. You could change. So Ksiv, the Gemara says, Ksiv, va'idvar Hashem elav le'mor, kum lech tzarfata. Go to Tzarfat. Ksiv, va'yachar drama, elachala ben isha balabai. So also the Navi describes that Eliyahu Hanavi went to a particular house of a particular family, and when he was there, his hostess, her son became very ill and died. So what happened? So boy, al-rachami lemeitam le'aklida de tchias hamesim. Eliyahu Hanavi, give me the key to tchias hamesim. Give me the key to resurrect the dead. Amalei, 1 second. Shalosh mateichel zonim to the shliach. So there are 3 keys that I normally don't give out to any kind of emissary. Shal chaya, the key of life. Shal gishamim, the key of rain. V'shal tchias hamesim, the key of resurrection. Yom Shtai. So now, Eliyahu Hanavi, you're already holding the key of rain. Now you want a second key. Yom Shtai b'yad Talmud v'achas b'yad Harav. People will say that the student, the Talmud, has 2 keys. And the Rebbe only has 1 key. That's not right. I see her, I'll make you a deal. Give me back the key of rain, and I'll give you the key to Tchias HaMesim. So I'll say, obviously, the Rebbe Shalom needs back the key of rain, because it's amazing how the Rachmanis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is much more intense than the Rachmanis of man. And Eliyahu Hanavi is willing to play the game of chicken with Achav. Ultimately, the Rebbe Shalom sees the collateral damage, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is just simply not willing to let it go on any longer. So you give back the key of rain, I'll give back the key of Tchias HaMesim. So the Gemara says, because we'll say right after that, what happens? First, Eliyahu resurrects the boy, he brings the boy back to life, and right afterwards, Chashbar will say to Eliyahu, go up here to Achav and tell him that I'm going to bring back the rain. We'll say, what could this story be compared to? The Gavra de Tarki Legalia. Both of this can be compared to someone who locks the gate but then loses the key. Eliyahu Hanavi locked the gate, so to speak. He locked the gate ultimately again of rain, but then he lost the key. He lost the opportunity to reopen it himself, and instead the Rebbe Shalom takes the key and reopens it. Dara Rabbi Yossi b'tzipuri. So also listen to this by the way is amazing. Rabbi Yossi dashed in tzipuri. Abba Elio. Let's say Abba Elio. Rashi says before you turn. Let's say before you turn. So Abba Elio Chavivi Ugidoyo. So Abba Elio is a term of covet, right? Right? Chavivi Gidoli. So great person Elio. Kaptan Haba. So also Rabbi Yossi Aguili says that Eliyahu was a captain. I will say what is captain. I mean, look at Rashi. Ava captain. Shekas al Achav. So what's Eliyahu got angry. Eliyahu had, let's say, by the way, you understand, anger is a manifestation of passion. Eliyahu is Pinchas. Right? Pinchas was the kanoi. There is an element of kanos over here. Rabbi Yossi says that Eliyahu was a captain. He had anger. It was righteous indignation. It was righteous anger, but it was anger. Listen to this. I will say, so after Rabbi Yossi makes this statement, Havaragil, we'll say, by the way, captain doesn't really even mean angry as much. He's Rashi shekas, but rather captain means like when you're makbid on something, it means you stand your ground on things. You don't easily yield. Eliyahu sees, and this goes out to what we said before, Eliyahu is Isha Emes. He's a man of truth. He sees that there's a right and there's a wrong. And when something is wrong, there's no need to capitulate to it. There's no need to yield to it. There's no need to give into it. You stand your ground. I wasn't to understand, at the end of the day, that's a difficult midah with which to go ahead and live life. But this is Eliyahu Navi. So what happens? Havaragil lemeise gabe. So we'll say, so Rabbi Yossi of Tzipori used to learn Eliyahu Navi every day. However, after Rabbi Yossi made this statement, so Eliyahu Navi didn't show up for 3 days. After 3 days, Rabbi Yossi says, Eliyahu, where were you? You didn't. First of all, it's interesting. Eliyahu Navi sometimes doesn't show up for chavrusas, right? So Eliyahu Navi, where were you for the last 3 days? Kaptan karisili. She said to me, "You called me a captain." Exactly. I called you a captain, and you get angry. You don't show up for 3 days. So you see, as I called you a captain, the idea that Rabbi Yossi was giving a little bit of musar to Eliyahu Hanafi, which don't try that at home. That he was giving a little musar to Eliyahu Hanafi, saying ultimately again, you have this midah, which is an incredibly powerful midah, but sometimes again it prevents you from seeing things better. This is why we know Eliyahu Hanafi is the one who says to Klal, talking to Baruch about Klal Yisrael, Hefer es brisi. They have annulled your bris. They stopped doing mitzvahs. Tzachar Baruch Hu ordained that Eliyahu Hanavi has to come to every single bris milah. Eliyahu Hanavi, the Isha Emes, sometimes sees things in a bit too critical of a fashion. That's what Rabbi Yossi was saying. You're too critical. So Eliyahu Hanavi doesn't show up for the chavrusa for 3 days. Why didn't you show up? You call me too critical. Exactly. Why did you get angry? You can have a conversation about it. We can talk about, you don't like what I called you, you don't like my categorization of you, that's fine. But you walked away from me for 3 days because you see that I'm correct. So it's an incredible yisod. We'll say, just what do you take from a Gemara like this? I don't know. We'll say that you see that a person has to be careful how they approach the world. There is right, there is wrong. And even but a person often has to be able to approach situations in life with a gentle balance. Sometimes the approach of Eliyahu Hanavi being a captain, and always seeing everything in black and white, and always taking a stand on every single thing, doesn't really work if you want to be a part of greater society, if you want to be a part of a community, if you want to be a part of a mishpacha, if you want to be a part of a chevra, that a person ultimately has to be, like we saw before, like rach kikana. Sometimes a person has to be a bit more flexible. A person has to be a bit more understanding. A person has to be a bit more, even I have to know MS, but I also have to understand other people come from different perspectives. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to accept it, but I have to recognize it. A person has to be able to bend like the reed, and sometimes can't be as stiff as the cedar. So the Gemara goes like, let's finish. So the Gemara says, as long as Risham in this world, there is divine wrath in this world. Man Risham, we'll say, who are the Risham? Amar Rav Yosef Ganvi. So Rav Yosef says the real Rishon in this world are thieves, because we'll say thievery represents just a fundamental breakdown in respect for the other. When you take something for someone else, it means you have absolutely no respect for the other individual. Tana Abanam, Rasha Bali Olam, Charon Bali Olam. When Rasha comes to the world, divine wrath comes to the world. Shnei Emar, Bevo Rasha Gam Gam Buz Va'am Kalon Cherpa. Rasha Avimina Olam. When a Rasha is lost from the world, in other words, when a Rasha dies, Tova Bali Olam. Then I will say ultimately good comes to the world. Shene'emar uba'avod rishayim rina. When the Rishayim are lost, there is rejoicing. I will say this idea that when there's Rishus in the world, ultimately it detracts from all of us. When Rasha leaves the world, there's more light. Tzaddik niftar min ha'olam. When Nebuch, the Tzaddik leaves this world, Ra'a ba'al yolam. I will say there's a negativity that descends upon the world. Shene'em. I will say the idea is the presence of the Tzaddik endows the world with a certain amount of light. When the Tzaddik is not here, ultimately again, there is Ras, there's darkness that comes through. Shene'emar, v'atzadik avad. The tzaddik is lost. Ve'ein ish sam al leiv. No one takes it to heart. Va'anshe chesed ne'asafin ve'ein mevin ki mipnei hara'a ne'asaf atzadik. Tzaddik bali olam. We're just going to learn this last time, but we're not being Messiah in the Masechta, so we'll do that on Wednesday night. But a tzaddik bali olam. Ultimately, again, when a tzaddik comes to this world, tova bali olam. Good comes to this world, we'll say. And again, we'll discuss more at the same exactly what this statement means. We'll say, and the raya for the Gemara is quite amazing. Shene'emar zeyinachamenu mima'asenu umi'itzvon yadenu. We'll say the incredible idea is the raya that a tzaddik has a good impact on this world. We'll say is from who? Is from Noach, which is actually quite dramatically amazing. That Noach seems to be the paradigmatic example of a tzaddik who goes in and brings light to the world. Rabbi said the idea being that the individual impacts the quality, the fabric, and the nature of this world. That at the end of the day, the tzaddik has an impact, the Rosh has an impact, everyone exudes their own light, or chas v'shalom, their darkness upon the great world. So we'll say, we're not officially being Messiah in the Masechta, we'll be Messiah in Hashem on Wednesday. We'll say just a few words in closing off on Sanhedrin. First of all, we'll say, a mazel tov. 113 blots. 113 blots. And we'll say, some of us learned all 113. Some of us didn't learn all 113. But you know what the Gemara says? Echad hamarbe ve'echad hamam'it u'bilvad she'echavin libo l'shamayim. After 120, the Ribono Shel Olam does not tabulate how many blot Gemara you learned. I shouldn't say that. I don't know why Chash Baruch does after 120. But I have to believe that Chash Baruch Hu is not hyper-focused on how many blot you learned. And Chash Baruch Hu is hyper-focused on is, did you spend your mornings, did you spend your life trying to come closer to me? And I will say, the beautiful part is every single morning we're zocha to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're tired, we're exhausted. There's 1,000,001 excuses why you don't have to be here. But Baruch Hashem, Yaganu Umatsanu. We toiled, and Baruch Hashem, we came to the end of this beautiful, magnificent road. It's going to be very difficult to say goodbye to Sanhedrin. Because also, when you learn a Masechta, it's like Nafshi Kshura B'Nafsha. That you form a relationship. Sometimes, again, for honest, sometimes your relationship with the Masechta is one of the closest relationships you have in life. For one simple reason, because sometimes you spend more time with Sanhedrin than you spend with your wife. Sometimes you spend more time with Sanhedrin than you spend with your kids. I'm not suggesting that. It's not a good thing. But there's a relationship, I will say. There's a relationship. You know, the Ribono Shel Olam calls Torah his daughter. The idea being that we have this incredible opportunity to forge this magnificent relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam's daughter. And I will say again, I don't want to, we're going to make a siyum in Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. If you see Ari, if you want to make reservations, we're going to have a beautiful siyum. And we're going to go into this last part of the Gemara. So I don't want to make the siyum now. And I will say, just to understand the great sechos, how many generations of Jews would have loved to have been Messiah, Mesechet Sanhedrin. Baruch Hashem, 113 blot, we were kona, it's ours. And even if I don't remember it with my mind, every word is emblazoned on my soul. We'll say, tomorrow morning we begin Mesechet Makos. And I have one request. I don't ask anything from most of you. The one request is, we'll say, Makos is 24 blot. Make a commitment to be here for 24 days. Unbreakable chain for 24 days, barring unforeseen circumstances. And I will say, no, Shabbos is not easy, Sunday is not easy. Figure it out. Everybody figures out other things in life. Figure out how to be here 24 days, B'Ritzifos. And again, Baruch Hashem, there's a Shabbos Shir on the other side of town also. I'm not suggesting anyone has to come here, but commit to 24 days of Ritzifos. And I will say one more thing. Commit to 24 days on time. Im kvar, az kvar. If you're going to do it, then do it. For an extra 10, 15 minutes that a person comes in, I will say, no, when you come in late to Shir, so it's not just the pshat that you miss something. You know, Baruch Hashem, is like that. Is my seat open? Baruch Hashem, that's the one advantage I have. Usually my seat is open. Baruch Hashem, usually, for now at least. We'll see what happens. But But say, you come in, and if you're looking for a seat, your mind's not, I have to get my coffee, I have to sit down, I'm trying not to move my chair 57 million times back and forth. Right? I have to sneeze, I have to cough, I have to there's tissues, there's all this, everything. Say, if you get here just a minute early before shift starts, and a person can get themselves settled, and a person could open their mind and doesn't have to catch up. What line are we up to? Where are we? I'll say it changes learning experience. If you're gonna do it, what's the difference between 5:55 and 5:45? Let's be honest. You are no more rested with an extra 10 minutes of sleep. Garnished, it doesn't do anything for you. If you told me an extra hour, okay. But at the end of the day, it doesn't do anything. You're not going to feel any better. Oh, I'm so happy I slept until 5:37 instead of 5:25. Such a difference. It's not going to make a difference. But an extra 10 minutes does. And being here like a mensch and being ready to begin a Seder Limud by taking your breath and taking your seat and having your coffee ready does make a difference in your thing, I will say. We've been kona all of these Masechtos. It's time to take our game up a notch. It's not just enough to learn, but we have to learn with a greater degree of seriousness. I'm asking everyone, and I'm going to be making individual calls today, for 24 days of Ritzifos. We'll discuss the next Masech afterwards. Not worrying about that right now. 24 days of Ritzifos. We'll say, imagine if we're able to be Messiah Maseches Makkos, and every single one of us was at Shir. Again, barring unforeseen circumstances or travel. I understand people have different things going on. But in a dome, 24 days of continuity. 24 days of continuity. Then here a little bit, on and off. Let's make it 24 days of being shtak. 24 days of getting to Shir on time. 24 days of saying, Ribono Shel Olam, you give me the privilege every single morning to partner with you in learning your Torah Kedosha. Let's say, we have no idea, just like we saw before. One person could impact the world. Can you imagine what the Torah of this Hilik Shir could do to this world also? If we say, I'm not just going to come, I'm not just going to show up, but I'm going to show up with zrizus. I'm going to show up with the seriousness. I'm going to show up with the koved rosh. I'm in this. I am doing this. And Ribono Shel Olam, I'm going to come here this morning, and I'm going to be like the Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch says, "Miskaber ka'ari." Shulchan Aruch says that Yehehu ma'or as hashachar, ve'in hashachar ma'orero. Our job is to awaken in the morning, and not to have the morning awaken us. We'll say tomorrow we begin a new slate, a new Masechta. It's like Daf Yomi amnesty. Whatever you've done before doesn't make a difference. Or you haven't done before, it doesn't make a difference. And the great part about Makkos is, and with this I know we'll have to close, with this I will say is, most of us have some type of familiarity with Makkos. Because generally, I know I learned it sometime between 7th grade and Eretz Yisrael. I have no idea when during that time, but I'm pretty sure it was sometime during that time. So I will say it's an incredible opportunity to also reclaim the Talmud Torah of your childhood, to redeem the Talmud Torah of your childhood, which for many of us often doesn't have the best of associations and the best of memories. It's an incredible opportunity to make it something beautiful, to make it something pleasant, to make it something uplifting. So I will say, I take this opportunity to wish you, it's a very tame Mazel Tov, because we'll do the more lebendig Mazel Tov and Meretz Hashem on Wednesday. And I can't tell you, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight, because I can't wait to Meretz Hashem begin Maseches Makkos with all of you tomorrow. I look forward to the next 24-day journey, because halavai we should be zocha, that it should take us to the most wonderful, unintended, unanticipated, and exciting of destinations.